All right, everybody. Since the aircraft is all in bits, it's a good time to do a little walk around of the innards of a Harvard. So the Harvard is the Canadian version of the T-6. This one is actually a Mk.4. It's the, as they say, the most sophisticated or refined version of the T-6 aircraft. So let's take a look. As you can see right now, the engine is gone. It's shipping to overall real soon, in less than an hour actually. As you can see here on the engine mount, you have all the rubber mounts, or the vibration suppression systems, which are basically rubber donuts. As you can see, there are 8 of them. On the right side, right here, here's the battery, 24 volts. Right above it, that is the RPM generator for the engine RPM. Behind it is the oil tank. We have a couple of transducers right here, and all the hoses going in the cockpit for the instruments. This here is the drain valve to drain the oil from the system when you want to do an oil change. Right here is where the oil cooler goes. This one is going away with the engine. Right on top of it, you can see the oil cooler shutters, which we can use to regulate the temperature of the oil when the air is cold. We can shut it and prevent the oil from being too cold. Moving over to the left side, we have the the step, which retracts in the fuselage and which is used to help start the engine with the hand crank. The hand crank goes right here. Down there, this is the fuel pump. The vacuum pump and all that stuff is normally hooked up on the engine, and it's currently sitting on a table somewhere. Here we have the landing gear up locks, one on each side. You can actually feel them when you retract the gears. When the gear swings up into the wheel well, you can feel the lock engaging through the rudder pedals. So that's a nice confirmation that the gear is actually up. So speaking of the wheel well, the Dolly Parton or Mae West, the big cover which covers the wheel and makes the front of the leading edge of the wing, is uninstalled. I don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere. Maybe we'll find it later on. Here we have the left landing gear. This aircraft is equipped with the Redline disc brakes. They are way better than the old drum brakes, and actually made in Canada. Here we have the towing lugs and the up lock. We have the shock, the brake line, gear door. The gear doors are actually fixed. They don't move. They just stay on the gear leg, and when you do gear up, you just plug the hole. And yes, Harvards normally do not have gear doors, but this one has. If we look over the wing, this is the window for the gear pin. As you can see, if you see some red, you know the gear is down and locked. It's actually a requirement to look at them when you're in the air and you're going gear down. Make sure the undercarriage is down and locked. Right here, this little box is the voltage regulator. The blue lines are the hydraulic lines going to and from the hydraulic pump. Another stuff that's interesting on the firewall, this little box right here is the gear warning system. It's linked to the throttle. So when you throttle back in, you will activate a switch and the horn will sound in the cockpit. It's actually quite loud, so there's very little chance of not noticing that it's blaring at you. Also on top of the wing, we have the fuel tank, 42.5 imperial gallons, or about 50 US gallons. If we take a look back over on the fuselage, the red tubes are the orange tubes are the vacuum tubes for the instruments. We'll make our way across the wing. We have the landing light. There's space for another light. It's actually for the passing light, or as they are called on modern aircraft, recock lights. We have the leading edge with the yellow bands. For those of you who are familiar with the aircraft, you know it's disguised as a Hawker Typhoon. We have the red nav light on the left wingtip. If we look under the wing, we can see the rondelle, the flaps, aileron with the booster tab. Well, the booster tab makes it easier to move the ailerons when you're flying around. They move in the opposite direction as the aileron, just like a trim tab, and actually makes the aircraft really nimble. The flaps, they are what we call them split flaps. It's basically the same thing as on a DC-3. The aircraft has basically the same wing as a DC-3, more or less. The cover that you see right here is for the wing attach angle. The wing is made out of 3 parts, 2 outer sections and 1 center section. If we to finish with the flaps, we have the flap actuator right here. Here we have the hydraulic system. The pump is on the engine. This is the hydraulic reservoir. We have the hydraulic valve and the hydraulic lock for the flaps, or as they call it, a snubber valve. Here we have the fuel selector with 2 inputs, one in the rear cockpit and one in the front cockpit. Basically, the 2 cockpits are really similar. We have here the trims, so rudder trim, elevator trim. This here is the wobble pump. We use it to manually pump fuel in the engine if the engine-driven fuel pump ever fails, or we use it to build up pressure when we start the engine. That big handle right there with a landing gear on it is quite self-explanatory. Still a landing gear handle. You cannot retract the gear from the rear cockpit. You can only do so from the front cockpit. Here we have the 24 volts adapter for the GPU. If we go up on the aircraft, this is normally a handle that goes right here, but since the side panel is removed, it's not there. So, in the cockpit, it's not quite the original instrument panel, but it's functional and it's clear. We have all the usual stuff. The GPS is a Garmin 510 with XM weather. We have the control column with the spade grip. My radio is a Benexine KY96A, and I've got a KT76A transponder. Here we have the electrical panel. The landing gear panel right here with the landing lights, the gear warning lights, the gear indicator, the horn cutoff, and the flaps indicator. The car beat is that black handle right there. We have the throttle, and typically Canadian system on the aircraft for the mixture. You have to. It's actually rich. Rich behind and lean forward. So you lift this little hook right here, and you can lean the thing. And normally, when the throttle is back, you cannot lean past the throttle. If you want to shut the engine, there's another catch right here. Then you can just push the mixture forward and cut the engine. It's actually pretty neat when you're flying at high altitude, and then when it's the time to come down, there's actually really little chance of starving the engine out of fuel, because as you bring the throttle back, the mixture will enrich itself. Here we have the propeller lever. The primer is the black handle above the radials. The parking brake is in yellow. Here we have the seats with the Hawker harness. Canopies, 2 of them. I was telling you about the gear warning horn. It's this guy right here, the black thing right here. This is the gear warning horn. It's really loud. So, canopy. scare warning again. Rear canopy, I installed a T-6F or SNG6 rear canopy because it looks so much better. Here we have the baggage compartment. That little hole right underneath the M is the hole to put the tube to lift the tail up when you want to weight the aircraft. Here's your static port. Here's one on each side. Vertical stabilizer with a rudder. Horizontal stabilizer with a rudder. Here we have a patch that we need to do. So all the controls are fabric. The really interesting thing with this aircraft, the horizontal stabilizers can be exchanged, and the elevator as well. You can just take them and flip them over, and it'll fit. It's actually pretty neat. They're symmetrical. Normally on this side you'll see the exhaust. It's currently off the aircraft. Here we have the 428 Squadron logo on the side. The pitot tube is on the right wing. Here's the green nav light on at the tip of the right wing. Here's the pitot tube. And we have a bunch of parts. Firewalls. Here we have exhaust section with the generator. Here's a carburetor. It's a twin barrel. Stromberg carburetor. Here we have both pumps. The one furthest away from the camera is the prop governor. Here's the shaft for the hand crank. The carburetor intake. And the oil cooler intake. My cowlings are right over here. And as I was telling you, here we have the dolly partings or May West or what have you that go over the wheel wells. And in the corner over there we have the panel for the left side of the fuselage. And more parts. This is a starter. It's really heavy. And two magnetos. Those are Bendix magnetos. Alright, so this is it. I'll do another video when the aircraft is complete. And I'll take you through a standard walk around that we do before we go flying. So until then, take care. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.